I was looking in the notes here. It's, as you mentioned, digital forensics. I'm reading through the notes that I had for the interview, and then I see here Fountainhead College of Technology is designated as a National Center of Academic Excellence in Information Assurance Education by the National Security Agency and the Department of Homeland Security.
That's right.
Really?
So we're not only, approved by the state, we're accredited by a nationally accrediting agency called the ACCSC, but we also decided we want to find another credential that just puts us, on top. And so we looked around and we found that the government has this program. There's lots of different centers of academic excellence in different areas, but we're in information assurance education. And, think about the phrase information assurance. It's
right.
kind of explains itself.
So basically, you got some information on a server, on a network. You want to know that it's there, it's safe, and it's going to be there and usable.
Yeah.
Right.
It's easy to lock stuff up and never use it, but you want to make it accessible to the right people, but not accessible to the wrong people.
Right.
So we focus on that, and we work closely with the NSA every year to do different grant programs to help students or to get equipment for our students, and we're very proud of this. We've had it, I think, since 2006, and we come up for renewal again in 2014, and we plan on maintaining the status. But what that means is whenever you graduate from that program, you get certifications that have the Fountainhead logo, it has the NSA logo, and the Department of Homeland Security logo on it, and it basically says you're an expert in these certain fields, a risk analyst or a senior security officer, and there's about 6 of them.
You're listening to Business Knoxville on News Talk 98.7 WOKI. I'm Hallerin-Hill, and my guest is Richard Rackley. Richard, let's talk about the future a little bit. Richard is, by the way, president of Fountainhead College of Technology. Take me into the future a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, you are in a growth business.
Well, I tell you what, we were talking about different programs we have, and this is a good way to get into the future. We decided we needed something to attract more women. And so we got into health information technology, and that is dealing with, electronic health record. You hear that in the news. The president has said by 2014 he wants all health records to be digitized, and that will lead to different studies that can happen where you can look at large amounts of data that would just be impossible to look at if it was on paper. And it will, enhance our medical practices. So we have that program, and that program is going very well. We have also got a program in radiological protection technology. So that's training people to go work in nuclear power plants. So even if they were to shut down all the plants, there's still a huge need for 90,000 workers over the next several years just to maintain the status quo. But they're not shutting them down. They're building more plants, and the technology is getting better. And now I was just reading an article that Bill Gates was quoted in that they can build a nuclear reactor in a computer now and give it a 9.0 earthquake and see what happens, and give it a tsunami and see what happens. And so we can build them safer now, where the plants we have that are pre-existing were built in the 70s or whatever. And we couldn't run those kind of tests in a computer environment back then. So nuclear is definitely the direction that our country needs to go to generate more energy. And we want to be training the people to go work in these fields. And so, that's part of the future. We're also getting into distance ed, and to where people can study from home and come in at the end of each semester for some hands-on assessment, but otherwise they'll be able to do everything else from home.
For the listener that is not a potential student, but they just want to peer into your crystal ball, mm-hmm. Can you take us on a guided tour of what the world of technology is going to be 5, 10, 15 years from now?
Well, I tell you, there's shows on the Science Channel all the time about this, and really just whatever you want to make up in your mind, we can probably make it happen. That's kind of the direction I go. So, computers are going to be invisible because they'll be part of you. They'll be built into your clothing. They'll be built into your car. Well, they're already in your car, but
and they'll be all of these different computers will be talking to each other.
Right, and the line between human and technology is going to merge.
Did you see Transcendent Man?
I did, and some of the stuff he says, that's Ray Kurzweil.
Yeah,
and some of the stuff he says is a little out there, but some of the stuff he says makes a lot of sense.
So Ray Kurzweil is this visionary and technology guy. I think he invented the fax machine.
He invented. He might have invented that, but I know he invented readers that can take a picture
the
of
optical reader.
Yeah, and we have a blind student that uses one of those, and we got it granted to him from Nokia, and he can hold it above a piece of paper, take a picture. It sends it off to the cloud. You hear about the cloud technology. Yeah. It gets changed to words and comes back to his device, and it reads it to him. It's amazing technology, and
so Ray Kurzweil is proposing what is called the singularity, where people and computers actually merge, where we will have chips in our body, or the chips are going to get ever smaller.
They'll be in the blood vessels, yeah.
And a full-blown computer will be in you somewhere.
Right.
And part of your thinking will be done by a computer, and part of it will be done by the human part of you. Doable?
Oh, absolutely doable, I think. Whether or not we want that is a different conversation. And, there could be a war about whether or not this happens. You just never know. There are going to be people that are going to want to oppose it, and there's going to be people that are going to want to embrace it. So he calls it a singularity because he can't see past that. And, there's some logic there. You don't know what's going to happen when all this converges, but I think it will converge. And, we already are seeing more intelligent limbs. A lot of people talk about the famous hand in the Star Wars movie where Luke gets his hand replaced and it's just a fully functional hand. They're getting closer and closer to that.
They're getting real close to that. So I have an iPhone. The computing power in this
could take you to the moon.
Yeah. Which is amazing. Okay, so before we get away, let's talk real world, because before the interview we were talking and you said, Hallerin, I had a student going to work in Washington, D.C., and he was just thanking me that we even exist. Kind of talk to me about, people come to Fountainhead, they get a great education that equips them for the real work world, but walk me through a couple of stories where somebody walked in the door one way, came out another way, much more successful and ready for the world of technology.
Sure. Well, there's just dozens and dozens of them. And this is the best part of my job is on graduation day, shaking hands with that graduate who's already got a job lined up. And, and I know this person, what they were like when they first walked in, and they've grown emotionally, they've grown mentally and intellectually as well. And, we have graduates that call us and say, I just got a job with the government. I need you to take down any reference of me on your website. He's a shadow guy now.
Yeah.
And we do, and that's very exciting. I think about doing a commercial where he's just a silhouette,
Right.
But
we make those guys and gals.
Yeah. Our graduates go to work for the FBI as technicians because, they're not going to send their laptop down to the local computer repair shop.
Right.
They have their own technicians in-house that handle all that technology. So, I'm very proud of that. And, the story you were talking about, someone stopped by after getting a job with Lockheed Martin, and they just were so excited to get to go start this new career. And, this is a young guy. He's maybe 22, 23, and he's going into this job making, a lot of money. I can't say exactly how much, but making a lot of money and able to, get his own place to live up there where cost of living is very high. And he's just very excited and just wanted to thank us for just being here.
What's a pay range? What's the range of salaries that people get when they go to a school like Fountainhead College of Technology?
It depends a lot on the different programs that you're in. In fact, our Health Info program has a lower tuition rate because those graduates, they do very well, but they're not going to do the same as someone getting a bachelor's in network security and forensics. So, it ranges from $30,000 a year to, I know that recently we had a large local company interviewing our associate graduates. They were going to be starting around $50,000 a year, and they had several openings. And then the network security guys, the bachelor graduates, it could be 60, 70. It just depends on if they're going with a large company, a small company. But the thing is if it's a small company here in Knoxville, it's very good money for Knoxville. If it's a large company in another area, it's very good money for that area. So a lot of it has to do with the cost of living of where they're going to be going to. But since we're a center of academic excellence, that does get us some national attention. And so, companies that may have not have heard of Fountainhead, they've heard of the government.
Right.
They've heard of the NSA and the Department of Homeland Security. And so we have those guys backing us and the quality of our training. So it goes a long way.
with this show, we are celebrating the people and the businesses that are the driving force of the local and the national economy. And I just want to commend you as a business owner and a visionary. I have a real abiding passion for the garage people. I mean, for the people who go, you know what? I can do this.
Make something from nothing.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that really is what drives communities and the world forward, is somebody having that. Because it's one thing to be able to bemoan how bad things are and go, it's quite another to go, we can do this.
Just do something about it.
So not only do you have an enterprise where you are educating people and giving them skill sets that give them real opportunity in a changing world, but you yourself, you're a business guy. And it's amazing to me the business that you have built and grown, and we commend you on that. As we close, what would you like for people to know? What message would you like to leave with people today?
One thing kind of funny is that I used to be Ranger Rich on the Fox 43 Kids Club back in the 80s. I'd introduce cartoons. So, I've been around Knoxville and done so many different things.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ranger Rich.
But then also, the serious thing I'd like to leave everyone with is, find something you're passionate in and become an expert. And that will take you very far. And don't chase the spotlight. The spotlight will find you.
I love that.
Part of that comes from my dad.
I love that. How did he get that to you, though?
He told me one day, stop chasing the spotlight. It'll find you if you do a good job.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when I stopped being Ranger Rich, I guess.
I mean, when you think about that, that's pretty profound, because as you build, the word wisdom in Hebrew is chakma, but in its simplest form, it means skill. And when people acquire a prodigious level of skill, it does make a difference. The website is fountainheadcollege.edu, fountainheadcollege.edu. And if you're interested in learning more about careers in technology, what a wonderful educational institution they've built. I think probably the hottest thing about them is, one, President Rackley, or Ranger Rich, or whatever he is, President Rackley is really kind of visionary and looking out into the future. So the education you will be receiving right now is ready for 2 years later or 3 years later when you finish. And they build it on you having a great foundation so that you can learn new things and continue to improve. Richard Rackley, thanks for being on Business Knoxville.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Business Knoxville with Hallerin-Hill. If you'd like more information or you'd like to hear the show again, listen to our podcast at 987newstalk.com. If you're interested in featuring your company on Business Knoxville, call Jack Lee at 865-588-6511. Business Knoxville is a production of News Talk 98.7 WOKI.